And about China, China is really, really an interesting challenge because President Xi Jinping gave 3 objectives to China in the world of football. The first one is to organize the World Cup. The second is to be qualified for it, and the last one is to win it. So being qualified is possible because with the increase of 48 teams, and China is not a bad team, that should be possible. Organizing it, no problem. I mean, they have great expertise. Organize the Olympics 2008. We'll organize them again for the next Winter Olympics 2022. So these 2 objectives are okay. But winning it, that's something else. But I think that they are on a good track. They invested a lot of money. They will now have a challenge of creating good football academies, sending Chinese players to Europe. I mean, they do the things in a good way, except the fact the money they invested is a bit ridiculous. I mean, the level of the salaries is completely ridiculous, and it could be a problem for the rest of the world if the system would be too unbalanced. But I think they're on a good track, and that would be an interesting thing to have, like China, Italy, or China, Germany in the final of a World Cup somewhere.
But do you think is it possible that they will come to participate in European tournaments, or it's ridiculous?
They need to have a good national team. For that, they need to send players abroad. So if some good players can have their place in the Big 5 championships, that will be okay. And one of the advantages they will have in this is that if a Chinese player is okay, for sure he will have his place, because that's such a huge issue in business. Like we had players from Japan or Korea. Between a Chinese and a Spanish players, they will pick the Chinese one. Of course, if they have the same level. It's the same it's exactly what happened in the NBA. Being French, Russian, Spanish, or Italian is a big strength in the NBA, because if you have the same level, they don't need 200 American players. So that could be a good strength for Chinese football. But of course, a big difference between individual sports and football is the fact it takes much more time in football. Having champions in taekwondo, archery, boxing is easy because it's individual, and with a good coach, I mean, you can, in 5 or 6 years, you can produce something. But football is another challenge. I mean, never forget you have 6 million members of the German Football Federation. It's just huge. I mean, the competition is huge. All the countries play football, and you need a coach. You need, you need really a lot of things in football. So it's much more difficult than in individual sports.